Fun fact, I played stepdad for about 5 or 6 years. And the catalyst for me putting myself in that position was my ex's friend's boyfriend who she lived with. She wasn't living with the boyfriend, she was living with the friend. But he would go in and he would abuse and touch the child, which, no, not on my watch. We moved in together. We stayed together for about 5, 6 years, like I said, and really did the best that we could to give that kid a decent childhood. That's it. And so that's really where this article kind of hits home for me, because this is coming to us from Philly Voice. Child abuse is 40 times more likely when single parents find new partners. Here are 3 steps to protect the children. And this is written by Amy Wright Glenn. Ms. Glenn, you only need one step, and that's to have children with a partner that you want to be with and that you want to create a life with. That's it. Plain and simple. And you guys stay together and raise that child. But, life isn't that simple for everybody. So let's get into this. According to the 2016 U.S. Census, the majority of the nearly 74 million children ages 18 and under live in a home with 2 parents, whether married or unmarried. Nearly 25% of children in America live with a single parent, usually the mother, though the number of children living with single fathers rose from 1% to 4% since 1960. Wow, dads really get no love. Jesus. Most divorced adults eventually cohabitate or remarry again. For example, around 75% of divorced women remarry within 10 years post-divorce. Yet, the number is lower if the woman is a mother of a minor child. Perhaps one of the reasons why relates to the documented risk involved in bringing in an unrelated adult male into the home. Sometimes they are referred to as abusive boyfriend syndrome. Scholars note there is a statistically greater potential for instabilities in homes where adults and children who have no biological connection reside. So yeah, ladies, have them with the man that you actually want to be with. Like, this isn't hard. There's this old saying, women choose who gets to have sex and men choose who gets to get married, And I really believe that the two should start to come back together, because what we have now, what we're living with now, is just a ton of broken people from broken homes who, are missing a big part of the nourishment and their development by missing their other parent. And this is nothing against the step parents of the world at all, because it does take a lot to go into those situations, and those situations can be very, very volatile. Trust me, I know. But there's nothing quite like having your 2 biological parents working together and setting a good example for you. And that goes for either gender or whatever. It comes down to the fact that they don't have a relationship established with these kids, states Elena Gill, clinical director for the National Abuse Prevention Group, Child Help. Their primary interest is really the adult partner, and they may find themselves more irritated when there's a problem with the child. Of course, not all step parents or bonus parents, male or female, struggle to bond or love the children of their new partners. There are certainly many stories of blended families thriving. Their success depends on various ingredients, according to the American Psychological Association. April Eldemir, LMFT, writing for the Gottman Institute, affirms how critical it is for remarried couples to learn how to communicate effectively and not be afraid to discuss sensitive topics as they arise. Furthermore, fostering resilience through healthy family ritual and structure has been found to be more indicative of a child's success rather than living in a first or second marriage household. Fostering resilience through a healthy family ritual and structure has been found to be more indicative of a child's success rather than living in a first or second marriage household. That structure and that ritual is supposed to come from the 2 biological parents. Like these are things that we didn't have to discuss or didn't even have to go back into 20 years ago. These are things that we instinctually know are correct, but oh my goodness, girl, you don't need no man. Nonetheless, children of divorce and later remarriage are twice as likely to academically, behaviorally, and socially struggle as children of first marriage parents. about 20 to 25% struggle, compared with 10% a range of research found. They are also more likely to be hurt. In their article, Child Abuse and Other Risks of Not Living with Both Parents, published by Ethology and Sociobiology, Martin Daly and Margot Wilson note, if their parents find new partners, children are 40 times more likely than those who live with biological parents to be sexually or physically assaulted. According to a Missouri-based study of children living in homes with unrelated adults, children are nearly 50 times as likely to die of inflicted injuries as children living with two biological parents. These are worrying statistics, both disturbing and scary. To understand this increased risk of sexual or physical harm, it is helpful to consider the lack of oversight which occurs when both biological parents are no longer working as a team. Yes, it sounds familiar. Ideally, parents work together to teach children body safe rules, observe children in play, particularly with older peers, and thoughtfully choose care providers. Post-divorce, this doesn't always happen. Doesn't always happen. Me and my terrible words. Another explanation for these increased risk of harm connects to the potential negative/dangerous role older step/bonus parent siblings can play in the lives of younger children. Even when sexual or physically abused by an older step/bonus sibling is not a factor. Children who live with step siblings are more aggressive. Yet, most significantly, one must face the difficult truth that the primary cause of harm to children in blended family settings is the unrelated, usually male adult, brought into the mix through romantic involvement with the biological parent. How can we mitigate these serious risks? As a divorced mother of a young boy, I reached out to Dr. Laura Markham, founder of AHA Parenting and author of Peaceful Parent, Happy Kids, for advice. Jesus. She shared her top 3 suggestions to reduce the risk of sexual abuse/harm post-divorce to children. Markham strongly suggests the following. Delay dating. Yeah, because you got a kid. You really don't have the time. And I'm not even going to read the read what she says. You just ain't got the time for it. Because that's one of the things that I find interesting. Like being out in the dating world is, you want the woman to, be a good mom and take care of her kid, but there's also this sneaking suspicion, like, if you were a good mom, then why are you in these streets messing with me? And I know it sounds like a bit of a catch-22, and that's because it simply is. There's it's really hard, like, to have that balance, to spark that balance, because ultimately when you're entering a relationship, you'd like to be a priority, but those of us who are sane recognize that we can't be the priority. The child has to be a priority, and that makes quite a bit of conflict. When you begin dating, go slow. And yeah, no, duh. I've met girls who were like, oh yeah, like we talk on the phone for like 2 minutes. Man, you want to meet my kid? I'm gonna put you on the phone with my kid. No, I don't want to talk to your kid. It's not a matter of me not liking the kid or me not knowing the kid. It's just that there's that space of us getting to know each other is just completely obliterated. And so, yeah, you have to go slow. You have to go like insanely slow. Like the woman that my ex, because I keep like kind of referring to her as like, the woman that, no, that was my ex, because I cared about her. I loved her, actually. My ex, we like 6 months. Like, we were talking for like 6 months before, I said anything to the kid. And the reason for that being is we wanted to know how we fit together, how we work together. And, it was completely different after we got into, live into the living situation, because it always changes no matter what. The people don't really change. Circumstances change people more than anything else. A new partner should never discipline your children. See, the reason that my ex was so happy to be with me was because she knew she wasn't a disciplinarian. And I don't believe that. Okay, so when we're talking about like physical discipline, right? Like spanking or popping or anything else like that, I'd never do that. But as far as sit down, write some words or write this out or just read, do schoolwork and stuff like that, Yeah, because guess what? That kid needs discipline. And more than likely, seeing how the scenario really just focuses on mothers, like the kid isn't getting that discipline from the mom, because moms are relatively easy on average. Of course, not all, but they're particularly when they have the other the other biological parent there, they have the ability to be like, yo, go ask your father. If they want to say no, they can just be like, go ask your father, as opposed to, having to be both roles. You can't be the good cop and the bad cop at the same time. So it does add a certain level of stress, and that's actually what a lot of females tend to look for in their partners, is someone to come through and be a disciplinarian. But let's I want to finish this up by just maybe finishing like reading up this last little summary. By taking into account the insight and wisdom shared above, the disproportionate risk of sexual and physical abuse posed to children living in homes with unrelated adults might be mitigated. As divorced or single parents, we can protect our children best when we stay connected and involved in our children's lives. Positively co-parent with the other biological parent to the best of our ability, and engage in new relationships with mindfulness, patience, and clear boundaries. We can protect our children when we remember Markham's wise words. Your child is your responsibility. Given that your child didn't choose a divorce, she or he needs more from you as a parent when dating or remarried, not less. You know what? And I can dig that. Gosh, Miss Wright's single, huh? But I'm joking, I'm kidding. Deal is, guys, is that if just have the kid with somebody you want to be with, and you know what, stick it out. Plain and simple. If you decide to have that child with somebody, and they're not just your responsibility, they're the responsibility of your partner that you have the child with. And so through the thick and the thin, the bad and all that other stuff, you stick it out, at least for the first 10 years of the child's life. I would recommend 15 to 20 years, but if you gotta get out, make sure that you set a proper foundation for that kid first. And I think that really comes in the first 10 years, And then, by all means, go divorce, go do whatever it is you want to, that will sit there and kind of just ruin the kid's life and devastate your child. But honestly, there has to be a little bit more salient thought given to, oh my goodness, I want a divorce, and it's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. Unfortunately, parents, once you have a child, you are no longer the main character in your story. Your child is, and they deserve to have both of their parents there for them every night and every day, for as long as you can give it to them. And this whole, think about the children. Well, I don't want my children to see me in such a messed up situation. I want your children to recognize that you put yourself in that messed up situation. And, not every guy is a man like me. I'd never do such a thing. And to this day, I never have, never will, And unfortunately, there just isn't that abundance of, people who've gone through that. Because another quick thing, I was sexually assaulted and abused as a child. And so I'd never do that to somebody, even though statistically, the statistics state or suggest that those who have been through such trauma would do it to the next one. But I've just never been that type of person. So really, take care of your kids. And make sure that you have them in a committed and loving relationship first and foremost. I'm not sitting here saying don't have sex. I'm not sitting here saying, don't do what you want, because that's what you're gonna do regardless. But be more mindful as to who you lay down with, and how that plays out, because that person that you're making, they didn't ask to be here. They never asked to get created. And to sit there and one of the worst things to me is seeing women, and I see them on my Facebook timeline, my Twitter timeline, just all the time. Oh man, I got pregnant. You never saw the guy. The guy was the guy. She never posted the guy on social media. She ends up pregnant, and her and the guy, before the baby's even born, they're done. Their relationship is over. Come on, man. Seriously. I really feel like that in and of itself is a level of child abuse, because why would you make a person with a person that you don't want to be with, presumably, seeing how you have all these terrible things to say about them, you didn't even like. That don't make no damn sense. So guys, that's it. That's the video. All the internet stuff. Like it if you liked it. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice. Share because sharing is caring. And speak. Let me know. Do you think that oh my goodness. Do you think that all of these children that are in single parent households are accidental? Because they can't be. It can't be. Like at this point, I genuinely believe, particularly within the urban demographics, that they see an opportunity to, particularly the mothers. No offense, but particularly the mothers see an opportunity to get some dollars, get some attention for being pregnant, and then by the time the child's 5, they're working on their next pregnancy. Heck, I got a ton of them that are pregnant by the time the kid's 2. By a different person. It's insanity. And honestly, if it all starts at home, all the problems that we have in the world, they start at home. So let's make better homes for these kids because they deserve them. Until the next one.